I divided the metal and started cutting it in half with a pair of shears. You can use anything that will actually get the job done. Tin snips, straight shears like I have, or even an angle grinder, as long as it gets the job done. I used the circle cutting jig to cut a second circle that will reside inside the can and act as a strengthener and a baffle to keep the can from collapsing. Alright, I glued that ring back together. You can see here I got it glued and clamped. We're going to let that set up. That'll be our baffle for inside of that barrel. I did a brief test with a full sheet last night sitting in there, and it kept the can from collapsing in, and hopefully that'll work. If not, we're going to get a bigger, more stout can. But for now, we're going to get this set up. And while this is set up, we're going to work on adding the metal to the baffle again. I used the top of the Thien baffle and the bottom ring and a ratchet strap to form the metal around and fasten it to the top and bottom. Alright, I got the top ring on, and I didn't record any of that, but it was a chore. So what I'm going to do is run the screws in from the inside, and let me tell you, this thing is strong right now. Once this gets in here and everything's caulked, I don't think we're going to have the same issue ever again. Using an angle grinder, I cut the opening for the inlet on the baffle. This will be capable of using a 4-inch inlet so that I can upgrade the system down the line. I used a file to straighten out all the burrs and clean up the opening. I used clear silicone to seal the inside of the baffle. Then I lined up the Thien baffle in front of the outlet where it will be mounted. I marked all the screws and pre-drilled them so it would sit flush against the side. I then started to pre-drill the through holes that will mount the Thien baffle. I clamped it in place, drove the screws home so that it was fully mounted. Alright, so we emptied out the barrel. We'll take a look and see. We did find on our previous test, which we didn't record on, that when you feed it a ridiculous amount, just shoving chips in left and right, that it will actually pass through a little bit into the vacuum. Out of everything, maybe there was that much, maybe a golf ball size handful out of that whole pile passed into the bin on the shop vac. But we're going to run this other test just to see if by slowing it down it makes a difference, and we'll go on from there. Before we start, one of the other things that I found, I'm going to have to ground this. This is passing because of the static charge coming off of it. It's actually it's shocking when you touch it, and no pun intended. I was getting about a 3-volt shock off my meter, and that's a little much for me. So what I'll probably end up doing is pulling one of these screws, putting a little ground screw around it with a ground wire. I've got a metal pipe system that I can ground everything off to that grounds back to the panel. It's actually just the real fine dust that's making it through. But that's to be expected. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this project. I really needed this for a couple of projects that I got coming up where I'm going to be running a bunch of wood through the planer. And I used to just let it exhaust out over my front lawn here, and it's basically just making it a giant sawdust bed. So in order to try and stop the grass dying and making a mess all over the place, I wanted to do this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching me make my mistakes finally succeed. I know I wasn't going to give up. I'm one of those that perseveres no matter what. As long as I'm capable, I will always push through and try and make something happen. And that's always been my outlook in life. This was challenging. 2 separate failures before this one. The third solution was even more difficult than the first 2 to even get together. But it's together. It works. It works quite well, and I can't wait to actually get a good use out of it. I did notice that at the very bottom here where it's a little weak, I had a little collapsing in. I'm going to try and put another baffle down there. If that doesn't work, I'm just going to switch over to a different drum, different garbage can, something like that. If you like what you see, or you want to see any more of my videos or even my failures and laugh along with me as I get frustrated, go ahead and click subscribe. It'll be down below here somewhere. If you want to see any of my other videos, take a look at one of the others off to the side. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great day.